Hey, check it out. Starting to get some items hung on the car. Got the lights in there, and they fit rather well. And I got the backup lights in there. That's kind of a funky backup light, but I don't know, that's what I did. I got it Frenched in a hole, and I had it come out kind of an angle, so I'd be shooting out on each corner rather than straight behind me, because I can't see behind me anyway. I do have a backup camera, but that thing kind of sees in the dark also, so that's cool. Had somebody wondering how the body was held on. You know, there's one of the points right there. That rear transmission bracket that pokes out there, that just rivets right on there. The rest of this kind of lays on the padding of the bars up here. Down here, this is riveted to the diagonal bar, and the vertical bar here. And then on the bottom, you know, it's riveted to the bottom of the frame down below, but this side skirt doubles, you know, as a stiffener, because it ties it in up here and it ties it in back here. So really just a stout, tight, non-vibrating. You know, there's nothing worse than a car going down the road and seeing something vibrate and flapping. So that is just tight, tight, tight. Now the back, one more piece, you know, part of the tin, which isn't in there right now, will come out and finish off the inside of this wheel well, which is molded to fit the contour of the body, and that'll help stiffen up this part. And then also back here, when you get the splitter on here, that ties directly into the frame and then hooks directly onto the body down here, so none of that moves at all. That carbon fiber piece just holds that stout, so that part holds up pretty good. And then on the front, there's a piece that goes across the front that holds that on. So it's actually held on there pretty well. Shouldn't have any problems. That part of it I actually think is designed pretty good. So yeah, the whole thing's pretty good, and I'm pretty happy with the whole design of the car. You know, it's pretty neat to be able to take all the components of a running car and pack it down into absolutely nothing, you know, and make it work. It's one of my goals, to keep the wiring down to nothing. You know, there's just a harness that big running through that car, so literally no wires at all. So it's something with a lot of electronics, traction control, you know, high performance. Absolutely no wires in the engine bay, just a motor sitting there. So yeah, I'm pretty proud of that part. And then on the front, I thought it was pretty ingenious how they actually took the stock hood hinge for a Corvette, and rather than I don't know how they'd normally mount, but the hood must come up that way, but they just flip them upside down and mount it right to the inside of this hole for that light there. And that makes just a perfect hood hinge for this kind of a hood. The pivot point is just perfect right there. Getting ready to put the wing on. Pretty dusty. Been sitting for 3 years. Got the mounts poking up through the holes here. And I'm getting ready to put this third brake light in here, which is kind of a smoked lens LED made for a Cadillac. And rather than find a plug, I just soldered some wires to these terminals in there, put some epoxy around it, and then I'll just make a connection on my own here. So yeah, I made a mold in the back of that car, remember? So that thing actually just tucks right in there. And then a couple of screws hold that in. And that'll kind of tie up the back of it. And then my favorite part, which is wiring. I got to, the wires are already there, but just finish up the wiring for the camera. Get the placement for the 2 or 3, or maybe just 1 in the back, the sensors for the radar. And the 2 backup lights, which I got a nice little switch already installed in this tranny. So all this rob power from my tail light circuit. So when I got the lights on, tail lights on, road lights, that will supply power to this switch here. So when I go into reverse, then I get my lights. You know, I'm not going to worry about a reverse light in the daytime if my lights may be off, so it'd be a good place to rob power from for that. And I might as well get ready to get the back window put in there, and then, you know, the back end of it's done. I'm finished putting the 2 close off panels in there. I think I'm going to make my fuel cap door black. In fact, I know I'm going to, because nothing else on the outside of the car is anything but black. Or red. Which I don't think will go red. Or I could hydro dip it carbon fiber, which would be kind of cool. Alright, got some things tied down on the back here, working on the front a little bit, got the splitter on the front, and right now I'm going to go ahead and pop the headlights in there, and the turn signals. We'll get those set in there, and that should be just a simple thing, popping them in. I kind of already got that trimmed up and ready. Oh, that's right, I was going to show it up here. This is how the front of this thing attaches on. It's got a piece of aluminum that ties in the front of this body, and then down onto the lower part here. So yeah, that front part's pretty solid. Whole thing's pretty solid. And I never remembered what it looked like with the dash in there, and it looks like it's going to fit real nice. It's right up against there tight. So that should be a no-brainer as far as fitting the dash. Alright, I got some of the stuff done on the nose. I got the headlights in there, covers on it. I painted a border on the inside edge of that acrylic. And so far I just got 4 screws in there. And we'll see how that goes. But I put a little bit of that seam sealer, that urethane seam sealer, in the screws, the holes, so that should help hold that in there. And I see the seam sealer. Either that shattered plastic or the seam sealer ate through the paint. It doesn't look too bad. It's gonna be good. But yeah, I cleaned up the hood a little bit. It shines pretty good in the sun. I can see where the solvent pop is, and it depends how clean it is and where the sun is and how much I see that. So you'll never see it on the video, but anyway, halfway torn between just running it and repainting it. So far it's on the run it side, so I'm going to keep going putting it together. And yeah, I had it sitting in the sun yesterday just baking hard, which is the first time it kind of sat in the sun and cured. And it needs a lot of that. I'm just looking like on the front where that circle was, you know, and around some of the edges on the bodywork for the different panels. You know, you can see that stuff swell up different than the rest of the body, and you can't get around that. But I'm looking this morning, now that it's cooled off again, yeah, I can still see that circle, but it's not bad. That's what you get. But yeah, looking good. I'm going to do a little cleanup in the garage, and I think I'm going to start putting doors together, get the doors hung on there. Alright, on to the door. So I got to figure out the jigsaw puzzle, get the pieces back in there. I already got this piece of felt screwed into place. This piece here will go next, and then the window channels, and then this piece. And I'm going to want all the weight on the door, of course, to do the final fit. And I have yet to get any seal, so I'm not too worried about the door sealing completely. I'm not too worried about it being waterproof completely, you know, or wind blowing through a crack. It's just going to be loud, period. So, but I do got some rubber seal on the way. We'll get it sealed up as good as I can. Okay, door's on. I'm not sure if I've showed this yet. It's in there, it shuts, it opens. Got the glass where I want it. And I'm kind of waiting until I get the other side on before I decide on my final adjustment of where I want this to be. So I'm kind of stopping right there. And then I've ordered some other seals. I ordered another seal from Factory 5 with the felting on it, and then a different seal. I'm gonna come up against this surface, which will sink into that top edge of the window. Help seal that up a little bit better. Too much of a fight. Letting it get hot, let the fans turn on, everything seems okay. Got about 200 degrees, the fan just turned on, and in fact it just turned off again. I got my two fans going for the back. That does a really good job. Blowing air through there.